Welcome to Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. My name is Ryan, and we're going to be in Joshua 11 today. And so at the Joshua 11, we see Joshua has led the Israelites, and they finally have defeated all of their enemies to be able to take the promised land. So I want to focus just on two verses in Joshua 11. It's the last two verses of the chapter. So as we read, it says, and this is Joshua 11, 21 through 23, it says, "And Joshua came at that time and cut off the Anakim from the hill country, from Hebron, from Debir, and from Anab, and from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua devoted them to destruction with their cities. There was none of the Anakim left in the land of the people of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod did some remain. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord had spoken to Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance to Israel, according to their tribal allotments, and the land had rest from war." So this verse is concluding about 47 years of trial and tribulation for God's people. And the beginning of this verse actually goes all the way back into Numbers 13. And if you remember from Numbers 13, this is when Moses sends the spies into the promised land, and they come back, and all but 2 of the 12 spies think that it's impossible, that there's no way that they can win. And if we read in Numbers 13, 33, it says, the 10 spies, they said, "And we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who were come from the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves to be like grasshoppers, so we seemed to them." So it's interesting that the people they were afraid of, the Anak, are the final people that Joshua defeats in Canaan. So it's almost the cherry on top of Joshua's conquest there. And it's interesting because as we look at this passage, 3 things came to mind to me about the character of God that we can see from this. And the first one is that God is faithful to keep his promises. So he promised in Numbers 13 that they would be able to take the land, but it goes even further back into Genesis 12:1. God made a promise to Abraham that his descendants would live in this land. We also can see from here that God's timing is not always our timing. From Genesis 12:1 to now is over 600 years. From Numbers 13 to Joshua 11, you're looking at over 40 years. So it can take a long time sometimes to see God's plan and will come together, but we have to be patient and wait on God. And then finally, we can see that God is faithful even when we are not faithful. The people of Israel were not faithful, but God was still faithful to give the land to them. Just like we're not faithful, but God is still faithful to redeem us. And we see that in the person and work of Jesus Christ. Faithfulness on our behalf when we were not able to be faithful. So as you go about your week this week, I would encourage you to just remember that God is faithful. His timing is not always our timing, and that he is faithful when we are not. Have a good week. 9 to know.